So the other day, a Jesus Dwelling Place church in Braddock, Pennsylvania. There was a man who walked up to the altar while the priest was giving his sermon, and he pulled a gun on him. Now, America is obviously no stranger to people doing stupid crap in churches. In fact, a couple of years ago, there was a couple of guys who stopped a gunman in a church in Texas. But we've heard on the news plenty of times of people not being able to stop these shootings. There was just one a couple of months ago. There was the one in San Antonio, Texas.
We noticed that his right hand was visible, but his left hand never was visible. So I'm assuming at this point that the shotgun was in his pocket with all the way up under his armpit, and he's holding it in place with his left hand.
In the video, you see the gunman there wearing a dark hoodie sitting in the back pew. He then gets up, walks to the back, and appears to say something to a deacon, and then pulls out a long gun, aims, and begins to shoot. The attack lasting just 6 seconds.
That's a long 6 seconds.
I don't really know what possesses a person to go to someone's place of worship and do that there. Just doesn't make that much sense to me. But one, they don't like the religion, or two, they just don't like somebody there. But I think we've kind of seen enough of this, right? I have. This situation is the exact reason why I carry a gun every time I go to church. Check this out.
A man walks up to the pastor with a gun and allegedly pulls the trigger. Thankfully, that gun apparently jammed, and the man was then tackled to the ground. You're watching all that unfold on your screen. And now on your screen, we're getting our first look at the suspect, 26-year-old.
No, I think this pastor can thank God on that one, because the fact that this guy's gun jammed, it's pretty unlikely. Now, for those of you who've done a lot of shooting, you know that shooting with one hand is not ideal, and you're going to probably be a lot less accurate than using two hands with a firm grip. So who knows if he even would have shot him. But still, the fact that the gun jammed, thank God for that one. But my question isn't necessarily about the incident. It's, where were the armed citizens in the situation?
I'm thankful to God that I'm still here, because he definitely pulled the trigger.
They had a male come in and confront the pastor with a firearm. Patrons currently have the male held down and the firearm away from him.
Clarence McAllister, the church deacon and cameraman, had just enough time to jump into action, taking down the suspect.
I'm just grateful that, God seen it, that nobody got hurt, especially when the guy had the gun pointed directly at his head.
Does nobody carry a gun in Braddock, Pennsylvania? And look, I know we go to church trying to have a pure mind, not thinking about all that stuff, but there are people out there who take that as an opportunity to prey on people who are trying to be better humans. It's an unfortunate thing, but that's how it works. Now, I have been to a lot of different churches over the years. For those of you who didn't know, I was born and raised a Catholic, converted to Christianity about 5 years ago. But I've done the whole real small cowboy churches, and let me tell you, everyone is armed at those, and it's usually in a warehouse or a field somewhere. But then when you go into these bigger churches, especially these super mega churches, it almost feels like it's corporate America. And I'm not downing any church here, but if you have a policy that states, oh, well, you can't carry a gun here, sure, it's your property. You make the rules that you want. But I would advise people, especially in the day and age that we live in, if a company has a sign that says you can't carry a gun here, that is an advertisement for criminals to go in there and conduct their business and be safe. As long as they're thinking that people are obeying that sign. Now, that's a whole separate issue. But my personal belief on it is that's like a company putting up a sign saying, well, you're not allowed to wear underwear in my store. Okay. One, how would you know? Are you gonna search me? Two, is that even a realistic thing? That's kind of my thought on someone putting up a sign that says no guns allowed. Can you see it? If you can't see it, and I'm not being an idiot with it, then you have no say what's on my person. And I may end up saving your ass if it's a situation like this. And the last point to that, criminals don't care about those signs. The only people you're stopping with those signs is morally good people who just don't want to risk it. If you're a criminal, that's the last thing you're worried about, is a little sign that says, oh, you can't carry a gun in here. Now, folks, y'all know that I love to work with the best of the best in terms of companies that I promote to you. And a longtime sponsor of the channel, Blackout Coffee. They just released their premium instant coffee, and I gotta tell you, this stuff, it's amazing. Morning Reaper as well, big recommendation. And they've also got their investment campaign going on. So you can become a part owner of your favorite coffee. All the details are gonna be linked below the video, but as always, we're giving you 10% off. Go stock up, and if you're like me, grab a 5-pound bag. It's cost efficient, and for me, can't have enough of Blackout Coffee. Unfortunately, this story takes a wild turn. They arrested this man, and thank God, once again, the gun jammed. But they ended up going back to his house to search it, and they found a dead body in this dude's house.
A man is now in custody after police say he tried to shoot a pastor in the middle of the sermon, and just hours later, a body was found in that suspect's home.
And God had chose. Jesus.
According to the criminal complaint, told investigators God told him to shoot Pastor Germany, and he wanted to go to jail to clear his mind. That's when the story takes a turn. Just hours later, around 8, the Eastern Regional Valley Police Department was called to the 500 block of Stokes Avenue for a man shot. According to the medical examiner, Derek Polite, who neighbors say is related to Bernard, was found dead inside the home. Investigators say Bernard also lived in that home.
Never nothing bad. Nothing bad has ever happened in that home. Never. No domestic violence, no fights, no argument.
Well, I think that's the reason why people carry a gun. We'd like to go about our lives thinking everybody's a good person. Oh, well, this person never caused an issue before, but you don't know what they're going through. They could be having the worst day of their life and just don't care anymore, and then do something like this. Go into a church, try to shoot the pastor. I think there is a special place in hell for people like that.
Benjamin Jordan, who lives right next door, says the two were always nice and there were never issues.
I hope it ain't Bernard. That's all. I just hope it ain't him that did that, because he was just such a nice guy.
But I go back to my original point. Where are the people who were armed in there? If somebody was armed, they could have shot the guy and saved the pastor. Removing the fact that the gun jammed. If it didn't jam, this guy would probably be dead. And this is the thing that everyone has to take on and have accountability for. Everyone in that church should be kicking themselves saying, you know what? This is on me. I should have been armed and I should have been ready for something like this. Protect your own. But Exhibit A on why I carry a gun to any church I go to and really anywhere I go. You just don't know when you're going to win the lottery and be in a situation like this.